I am a co-founder at SagacityGolf.com and have been around the golf business for all of my life. Third generation PGA golf professional family. Grandfather was elected to membership in '56. Dad, uncle, both brothers followed after that. I unfortunately never attained PGA membership. However, I have been selling golf technology to PGA members and non-members for more than 30 years. Started by moving golf courses off of off of pencil and paper and onto computers and electronic tee sheets. And that journey has led me here today, and could not be happier to be with you and talk about PGA Operations Benchmark. We entered into a partnership with the PGA of America this past summer. And I'd like to talk a little bit about why we did that, what it means to the PGA member, and encourage you all to take a look and participate. 3 reasons, and it's really the what's in it for you. Growing job security, growing compensation, increasing job security, and adding to the betterment of the quality of life of PGA members is the lofty ambition of this project. This is about making lives of PGA members and their families better. And that means a lot to me because I grew up in that type of a family. I understand the work that goes into running the day-to-day operations at a golf facility. I understand what it means to your spouse and your family, and it's a lot of hard work. And so if we can do anything to try to help the member, it's to help increase their compensation, help improve their job security, and help improve their quality of life. How does that matter with data? Because I'm talking about data, okay? Among all things that it takes to be a PGA member, you're still running a business. And the business of your public golf facility, and to a certain extent your private golf facility, is really the management of your tee time inventory. Roughly accounts for 80% of your revenue at your golf course. And what Operations Benchmark does is it starts the process for the members to share data confidentially and anonymously into a central system for the purpose of comparing your performance to other courses or your market averages. And the reason you want to compare your performance to the market is because that's really the true measure of how you know just how well you perform, how well you did. And you know, we're used to looking at budgets. We're used to looking at last year's performance, but the real change, the real improvement, the real growth, the real credibility with your owner and comes when you're able to compare yourself to the market. Most golf courses just finished their best year ever in 2021, and everybody else did too, right? So you really don't know how well you performed until you post your score and see how it stacks up to the other people or the market averages. So over time, this process will help PGA members speak to the performance of their golf facility in the context of their marketplace. And by doing that, you talk about how you perform versus the market. And whether the market is going up, as we've seen in the last 2 years, or whether it starts to level off or even slip and go down, as inevitably all things do, you still need to know how you stack up versus the market. You still want to outperform the market. That's number one. And we can talk a lot more about that as time goes on. It's super easy to participate. Visit PGAOperationsBenchmark.org. Sign up. We'll contact you right away. We've solved for just about every tee sheet and point of sale system on how to submit your data. We'll supply some simple instructions so that you can submit your data once a month. Once you get the hang of it, probably takes 10 to 15 minutes a month. That's it. Simple. The service is free, and you'll earn MSR credits. Let's just talk about the 8 benchmarks for a couple minutes. Occupancy, average rate, and Revpar. This is what everybody's interested in talking about, right? It's not glamorous, but it's really the language that revenue management speaks. It's the language of revenue. How many rounds of golf did I play on my golf course? What was the revenue? What was the average rate that I collected? And then what was the resulting Revpar? These are 3 important elements that really drive the revenue at your golf course. Occupancy is simply how many rounds I played divided by what was the capacity at my golf course. People ask about weather. Weather's not baked into this process. Weather, we calculate capacity based on sunrise and sunset. We calculate capacity based on 28 players an hour. We know that every tee sheet's set up differently, but we calculate it this way because it's the same for everybody. So once you have that common capacity calculation, you now have a common reference point so you can compare the rounds of played at your golf course. Occupancy. Average rate, green fee revenue divided by rounds of golf played. Green fee revenue divided by rounds of golf played. What goes into green fee revenue? Well, of course, green fees, as well as cart fees, and as well as those prepaid and postpaid items that go through the tee sheet typically at $0, but they have revenue associated with them, of course. And I'm talking about annual pass play or prepaid cards or postpaid packages, etc. So part of getting all of this data into one place for the purpose of the analytics is to make sure you're capturing the revenue from the various sources where they're recorded. And there can be 10-15% of the revenue that goes through the tee sheet that isn't recorded in a round of golf played. So you got to get the revenue out of the point of sale system that are related to those programs, and then add it so that you have a true average rate per round. We count all the comp rounds, we count the 9-hole rounds, we count the back 9 starts. If it's a round of golf, if it's a start on your tee sheet, if it's checked in, that's what we define as a round of golf. So occupancy, average rate, and then the resulting metric is this item called revenue per available round, or Revpar. It's probably one of the most misunderstood numbers for the layperson, and it's the one that really is the most important. It's really the product of multiplying the occupancy times the average rate, and it results in the Revpar. If you look at the numbers on the board here, when you see 88% occupancy, if you took 88% of $35.71, you end up with a Revpar of $31.42. The reason so Revpar is 88% of average rate, and that's because what Revpar does is it bakes in all the rounds that are unsold. It bakes in your capacity, not just the rounds of golf you play. So it's an important number because it really speaks to how well you marry up the revenue you collect and the bodies, if you will, that you put on the first tee. So part of this whole journey, part of this for the PGA member is to give them a tool set, to give them a language, to give them a trusted source where they can share data, see the feedback, and learn from it, and improve, and be able to speak authoritatively with your staff, with your peers, with ownership about the performance of my golf course. Like I said, I've been around this business a long time, and I know that in your market, you know your peers. You pick up the phone and you call them and you say, how was it? How was last month? What's it look like next month? and you share data, but that data is purely anecdotal. I call it liar's poker. We've all played liar's poker, right? So, you know, the phone rings and you answer it, and it's John. John says, "Hey, Mike, how's it going? How'd it go last month?" You know, I said, "Well, we did probably about 4,500 rounds." John, he said, "Okay, all right." And so it's a little bit of that back and forth. But when John goes back to his owner, because the owner's inevitably going to ask, I see our numbers. We did 3,500 rounds of golf. Our budget was 3,250. We beat it. Our revenue is good. But how does that compare to the market? And when John says, "Well, I talked to Mike and Mike told me this," that doesn't work for long. You lose some credibility, especially if you've got an institutional owner. They don't buy that. They want to see hard, cold facts. And that's what this report starts to lead you down that path to be able to do. And it takes you out of that awkward situation of, you know, being transparent with your peers. You know, you say you all push your data into the middle, you all get a report out, and you can see how you compare to your market average. And it takes you out of that situation of having to call your peers and try to pry information out of them. Let me talk about the confidentiality and security first for a second too, because that's a big concern for a lot of people. It's sensitive information that they're sharing with us. So everyone signs a permitted use and confidentiality policy when you participate in this program. You still own your data. You, the golf course owner, the golf course operator, the data that you submit, you own. We do not own that data, nor does the PGA of America own that data. No one will see your individual course data. No one from the PGA of America, none of your competitors will see your course information. What you'll see is your number compared to the average. And your number will also be included in the average in your market, in your state, and in the nation. So that's really our, we have two real solemn obligations. One is accuracy, and two is confidentiality. There's other benchmarks that will gain in velocity and importance as we go, and they center around other revenue centers at your golf course. Part of PGA Operations Benchmark is pulling data from not only the tee sheet, but the point of sale system. And if you're running your retail operation through that, your food and beverage operation, your driving range operation, all that information is going to come through when you submit your data from your point of sale system. And so we'll break down revenue per round, retail revenue per round, food and beverage revenue per round, et cetera. So that will exist. That does exist. The report's online. It's available today. Since we launched the program at the PGA of America in August, we've had more than 300 courses sign up. We've got a handful of private courses that are waiting for us to develop the private report that we will launch later this spring. So we're moving ahead, and we're gaining participation. I was in a education session yesterday afternoon, and probably about 30 people attended. Half were members. 0 of them had signed up. 0 of them had heard yet about it. Even though we'd been promoted quite nicely by the PGA marketing team, we're in the 5 Things email fairly regularly. But after that hour, I looked on my email, and we had half that were there sign up, those PGA members. So that was super encouraging. Don Ray and I spoke yesterday morning at the member center, and the same situation. There was a nice attendance. We had a nice conversation. None of the members in the room had actually at least acknowledged that they had heard before, but yet many of them signed up just, you know, on the spot. It's free. It'll always be free. The PGA of America are adding MSR credits for participation. So usually the early adopters, they're the ones that are all in already. They're the ones that don't need MSR credits, but they're there for you nonetheless. And what I encourage people to do, I think this is, This, you know, if you look to if you look to lodging as a, you know, as an example, there's 75% of the hotels in North America contribute their room sales data daily to a company called Smith Travel Research, and they publish a thing called the STAR report, STR. And it's and that report really focuses on three things. It focuses on the same three things I'm talking about here: occupancy, average rate, and in their case, revenue per available room. Well, 75% of the hotels in North America subscribe to that, and it drives the compensation. It spawned an entire industry over these 40 years in lodging. It drives compensation for revenue managers. It drives compensation for hotel managers and everybody in the management team of a hotel. And it really drives compliance for third-party contracts as well in the hotel industry. The golf industry should absolutely get to the same spot, okay? Golf courses have very many similar characteristics to a room, a hotel operation. And it's a shame that we're not there yet, but we're grateful for the PGA of America and their leadership. You know, this has been attempted before with PGA Performance Track, and sometimes it's hard. It's hard. It's difficult to move a whole industry, especially an industry as, you know, individual as golf. And so we're taking another run at it here in our partnership. We've got a nice little head of steam going right now with the PGA of America and your members, your peers, and it'll be a really interesting process through 2022, because rounds of golf, based on what I'm hearing and based on what I'm seeing from the golf courses that we work with, is we're expecting another real strong performance year. So I think this is the time to start benchmarking your golf course. You're going to have, you know, one more year. It's going to continue to ebb and flow as time passes, and so to start setting that baseline with your data and giving you something to compare to as conditions change is key. I mean, it's so key. I'm going to show a quick little video right now that'll summarize this one more time, and I'll let it roll.
I admit this last year was the best year for golf we've seen in a long time, but everyone else had a great year too. How do I know how our performance stacks up to the market? How does my facility truly perform? Even with my detailed knowledge of my business performance, how can I use information and make better informed decisions to improve operations and grow revenue?
To answer these questions, golf course owners and operators are turning to PGA Operations Benchmark by Sagacity Golf. Sign up, easily share data from your software system, and you'll instantly gain access to many different data points that are 100% anonymous and confidential, including 8 national, state, and market-level benchmarks, a true demand earnings estimate, revenue breakdowns, and comparisons of T-sheets and point-of-sale data. Plus, no hidden fees or trial periods that expire. The PGA of America and Sagacity Golf provide this service for free. Participating PGA members can even earn up to 7 MSR credits each year. So, what are you waiting for? PGA Operations Benchmark. Let data drive your decisions.
Know your true performance, earn credits, it's free. I don't know if I need to say anything else. Any questions? Yes. Yes. The question is, can you fine-tune the data points? Can you fine-tune, I think what you're asking is, can you fine-tune the courses to which you compare yourself?
I'm sure they need to be anonymous.
Yes.
But
yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. There are choices you can make in this dashboard. The confidentiality threshold is 5 courses. So we must have at least 5 courses in any one of these categories in order to show your report versus that group of courses. So geographically, we break it down by your market, which is a designated marketing area. There's 210 markets in the United States, okay? So the lowest, most granular level is your market. 1 level up is state, and then the 3rd level up geographically is national. Then we have a facility type breakdown. So however you're categorized by the National Golf Foundation's database, whether you're a daily fee, resort, or municipal or military, that's another designation that you can drill down on. And then finally, we have a qualitative measure. Really it's a quantitative. We take it and we divide the market into thirds. So, and we break it into thirds by your Revpar, if you will. So the highest third, the mid third, and the lowest third in terms of Revpar is how we'll break the market. So you do have it's a very interactive report, and as each month passes, you'll see those months in your drop down. So you'll have access to up to 12 months at a time of your historical data. Yes, good question. You in the back. Great. Thank you very much. PGAOB.org. Go sign up today. Thank you.